What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Friday show, the preview edition of Shout, a Buffalo Bills football podcast. He's Ryan Talbot. I am Matt Parrino. The Bills are on their way to the West Coast to face the Los Angeles Rams this Sunday. We're going to break down that matchup. I've watched a bunch of games of the Rams. I got a lot of thoughts on this team. So buckle in for the next 20, 25 minutes right here on Shout. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing great, Matt. Ready to talk some Bills-Rams football.
So we're obviously brought to you by Tops Friendly Markets, and right now you can get over to Tops and take part in Christmas bonus at Tops, and it is an awesome program that they got going on over there. You can get gifts for everybody in your family while you're shopping at Tops, and here's how you can do it. Save $10 at all your other favorite stores with over 25 gift cards to choose from. There's something for everyone on your list. And don't forget to treat yourself to some extra savings too. Save on great gifts like toys and games from GameStop or Toys R Us at Macy's, things for your home for Lowe's, that big screen TV you've always wanted from Best Buy, and so much more just by shopping at Tops. Be Santa's biggest little helper with Christmas bonus from Tops. All right, Ryan, I think where we need to start with this team is their run game. And I'm very familiar with Kyren Williams. I've had him on my fantasy team this year, and the dude is so consistent. And you put on a game and you watch this offense, and Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, all really good, important pieces. Stafford is important as any of them. But to me, they go as Williams goes. And they do a really good job up front blocking. And what they do is even teams where you think, all right, you're going to have a chance to slow them down on the ground, he just keeps coming at you. He's like this little ball of energy. And to me, if the Rams are going to have success in this game, they're going to be able to establish the run game. They're going to put the Bills in a bad spot. And then when they get to the red zone, I'm going to pull up the number here while you talk about Kyren Williams in a second. But it seems like at least the last couple of weeks, they've been finding ways to score once they get in the scoring area.
He is a great running back. I knew that when I watched him at college. A player that I enjoyed watching quite a bit at Notre Dame. So seeing him in the NFL, seeing him thrive in this league is zero surprise to me whatsoever. He, in my opinion, is the key to the game for the Bills in terms of who they have to stop. And that's saying something when you have an offense that has Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They have a lot of talent there. But Kyren Williams is that engine that kind of gets this team going. And he is very consistent. He runs the ball extremely well. They have a nice secondary back too. So this is going to be a big challenge for the Bills defense.
Yeah, and Blake Corum has kind of started to get more involved. It was weird last game. Did anything ever come out about this? I meant to go kind of check on it, but he had like almost the entire first drive, and he was running really well against the New Orleans Saints, but nothing really kind of changed for what they do. After that, it was Kyren Williams a lot and pretty often. But against the Eagles a couple weeks ago, it was 16 for 17, 72 for Williams. It didn't like blow your hair back, but he is just so consistent. And at his size, he breaks tackles. He's very urgent at the line of scrimmage. He reminds me in some ways of like this perfect combination of James Cook and Ray Davis. Like he's got some really cool moves, but also when he gets in between the tackles, they run a lot of the zone gap scheme that, you know, the Bills like to do as well. So I think the Bills will be prepared to potentially stop it. But he's a really nice downhill threat. And to me, all week long this week, the Bills have had him on their prompters as one of the number one priorities.
And as he should be, because if you can slow him down, get the Rams into third and medium, third and long situations, you're going to be in a much better spot. And it's no knock on Matthew Stafford. I still think he's a very good quarterback, but he's taken a step back. He's regressed a little bit this year, starting to look his age. This is a player that every year gets banged up, dinged up. But it's, you know, Father Time is undefeated, as we've seen with Aaron Rodgers in the AFC East with the Jets. Matthew Stafford is starting to slow down a little bit too. So, you know, you almost hope that you can get them more one-dimensional throwing the ball, where sometimes he makes some mistakes and you can create some turnovers that way and add some extra possessions for the offense.
Mark Mertz over on Facebook, you already gave him the 411 on what to order when he's going to Wingnuts. Right now, I'm jealous. I'm getting on an airplane here in about an hour and a half. But I would say, of course, the signature wing. That's our favorite, Ryan and I. But they always have great specialty wings. They got a couple of regulars on the menu. I know Sriracha Barbecue, I believe. Is it Sriracha Barbecue? Is there another name? But that's one. It's really good too.
Yeah, the Sriracha is really good too as well. Like Sriracha Barbecue, Sriracha Honey something as well. I believe they have a honey variation of that as well.
Here's the best way to go about it, Ryan. Try them all. You can get the wing flight at Wingnuts. Shout out to our guys over there. They do a great job. All right, let's get to the Bills injury report. For the first time in a while, it feels like they're not ruling anybody out for this game. So there's a chance for a lot of people. Oh boy, Man o' War came in here looking to start some violence here. From Ryan and me, MJ greater than LeBron. All right, this is a Bills versus Rams podcast. Man o' War. Come on now. Why are you coming right at me? And the funny thing about this argument is, side note, I love Michael Jordan. And honestly, it's if I were to make the argument passionately, I probably would end up saying Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. But it's more so the hubris of the arguers for the Michael Jordan side that kind of irritate me, especially people from Olean that just throw out these absolutely asinine takes all the time. And I get used to it week after week after week. So occasionally we go at it. But listen, I'm all for respecting the greatness. Michael Jordan is as great as it gets. LeBron James, in my opinion, is as great as it gets. And however you want to stack them, man, I'm glad to have lived through the LeBron era. Although the wheels might be coming off this thing. It's not looking good this season. Anyway, yeah, I know I am deflecting, CB. All right. Thanks a lot for that. Anyway, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, he said it all in his comment. MJ greater than LeBron, no doubt about it. And when it comes to the Bills, they need their MJ, a.k.a. Josh Allen, to continue where he left off this past week against the 49ers.
Indeed. And he might have a couple of weapons back. Dalton Kincaid, Keon Coleman. I think all week long I've been trying to figure out which one has a better chance to play. And I think at this stage, I'm probably going with Keon Coleman. I think there's a chance that both of them are out there. Again, though, once you make this decision, there's a couple of things at play here, right? There's, of course, Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, but there's also Dwayne Carter and Tylen Grable who are kind of percolating, getting themselves back. Dwayne Carter, and it might have been Grable too, I got to pull up the injury report, were full this week. So it feels like Carter is ready to return. The problem is if you activate Carter, you have to make a corresponding move. And so what that could look like is maybe Jalen Virgil. So if Keon Coleman's ready, you can cut Virgil, bring him back to the practice squad, or at least attempt to. That frees up that roster spot. Carter's back in the mix. And now you're thinking about, all right, then who's inactive for this game if Carter's playing? Because you have Quentin Jefferson, you have Jordan Phillips, who they brought in a couple weeks ago. In my opinion, even if Carter's ready, I'm still holding him back this week because you have a little bit more runway before you have to ultimately make some of these roster decisions. I do think that they want Keon Coleman back on the field, and if he's ready and he's progressing towards that, I mean, it felt like in a lot of ways he had a chance to play last week. So I'm still Keon Coleman probably more likely than Kincaid, but if they both play on Sunday, I won't be surprised.
Right, and real quick to your first comment, Grable and Carter were both full participants all week, so they are definitely nearing. When it comes, though, to the weapons for Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, they both seem to be getting closer and closer. I saw a comment from one of our fellow beat reporters, I believe it was Matt Beauvais. It was when I was going through X before the show. If he was asked a similar question, he predicted that he saw that he was leaning maybe Kincaid at a point because he saw he wasn't wearing a brace one day. So, I kind of go with the Keon Coleman guess as well. If it was one or the other, the way that, yesterday dropped some passes, he jumps in the snow. He's feeling good enough to be doing things like that with the wrist. And he's been practicing, obviously, the last few weeks in a limited capacity. But it definitely seems like they're trending in the right direction when it comes to both players, which is a great thing because while this Rams defense, I feel like it is an area that the Bills can attack with or without those guys, the more weapons you have, the better, because as we were just mentioning, the Rams have no shortage of weapons on offense either. So if they can somehow, get the best of this Bills defense, which has been very tough for teams to do this year, this could turn out into a potential shootout of sorts.
So there's 4 or 5 names that I think Bills fans should familiarize themselves with for this game when it comes to the defensive side of the game ball for the Rams, maybe 6. And I'm going to start. It all starts for me with Jared Verse. The rookie is as good as advertised. He got 55 pressures on the season. There was one play against the Eagles, Ryan. I wanted to record it and send it out to the insiders, but I've been having some trouble getting my insider text on my phone to send out this week. Finally got it fixed. It appeared today. So we're back. We're up and running there. And maybe I'll find it on the plane today, and I'll send it out later today. There's a clip from the Eagles game where Jared Verse absolutely destroys the tackle. I mean, he runs right through him. Now, luckily for the Bills, he does most of his work on Deion Dawkins' side. So that's going to be, to me, one of the key matchups in this game, and like trying to mitigate the impact of Verse. And you mentioned keeping Josh Allen there, the Bills Superman, their GOAT. What did you say before? You had a nice little fun line about Josh.
I said that he's the MJ of this team. He's the GOAT of the Bills.
Get out. That's great. You're right. Yeah, that's why I'm telling you to get out, because you're right. But no, Josh Allen going to need to be protected on both sides. And then up the middle, listen, I might have my son's new favorite player, okay? This dude, Kobe Turner, okay? Am I saying his name right? Yes, Kobe Turner. Defensive tackle. He went on The Masked Singer as, I don't even know what he was dressed as, but dude, this dude belted out a Goo Goo Dolls song with the most powerful vocals, dude. This dude was awesome. If you haven't seen it yet, look up his name, find it on social media. My son is actually he loves playing sports. He loves football. He's a huge singer. So this guy's going to be his favorite player. But as good of a singer as he is, this dude's been really good up the middle for what the Rams do on the defensive line. And I think their defensive line from beginning of the season, where you could probably say that was one of the weaker areas of their team, has slowly turned into strength. No matter what Sean McVay does out there in LA, he finds a way to put together a pretty decent defensive line.
Yeah, and Braden Fisk, too, another rookie, is a very impressive player. They have some talent there. Jared Verse, though, it's interesting. I think if he plays, he'll be at less than 100%. He suffered an injury at practice this week. The Rams have him listed as questionable for this matchup. Knowing the matchup against Deion Dawkins, too, all those things work out well. There are some snaps of him where he destroys some tackles. There are some snaps of him where he just absolutely other teams try to put a tight end on him, and that's just a terrible, terrible idea in and of itself. So Verse can go. Verse is a very, very good player, and it's going to be up to the Bills to make sure that they know where he is at all times.
The Bills, I feel like if that's a strength of yours, right? If you're able to get some pressure, they might try to get creative with how they send that pressure, especially if Verse can't go, trying to blitz a little bit. The Bills find a way to mitigate that for most of the game. There might be a play here or a play there where they get caught, and luckily they have Josh Allen, to your earlier point, usually gets them out of trouble. But that to me is going to be an area where you look at the Eagles a couple weeks ago, and even the New Orleans Saints last week. I felt like the New Orleans Saints played a lot better than the final score indicated, and they just weren't able to consistently score once they moved the ball down the field. Alvin Kamara had a really nice game. And even Marquez Valdes-Scantling had another touchdown in that game. Derek Carr was throwing it all over the field. So there's ways you can win against this defense. I think you got to be able to run the ball, establish the run. Barkley was sweet a couple weeks ago. Man, that dude is having such a great season. Every time I get a chance to just sit down and watch one of their games, it really shows to me, as much has been made of the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry marriage. I would give me Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts over those two. I mean, and that's saying something, because that's how good Lamar and Derrick Henry have been. But I think Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts have been as good of a combo as you can get. And I think in this game, Cook and Allen could really have some success against this Rams defense.
100%. You throw in Ray Davis. You can throw in Ty Johnson in with their limited roles. Right now, the Rams are one of the worst teams in the league in terms of stopping the run. They're currently 28th in the league, allowing 144.2 yards on the ground per game. The last 3 games, they have been, I believe, the worst in the league, letting up 194 yards on the ground. So they are vulnerable to the run game. We've seen the way that James Cook can take the ball the distance just last week, obviously in the snow. But in this game too, I could see him ripping off some big time runs against this defense. If you need that physical back, Ray Davis too, and then Josh Allen using his legs would not be a shock. I feel like his numbers are down this year running the ball because he hasn't had as many free runners coming at him because of the great play of the O-line. But if someone were to get through and get by, I feel like this is another game where you can take off on those unscheduled runs and get some big chunks too. So running the ball is going to be one of the biggest keys for this Bills offense.
If Coleman comes back this week, quickly here, I wanted to hit on this. How do you think that changes things for Joe Brady and, the target distribution? Do you feel like it's Mac Hollins that kind of, backs off into a lesser role like we were kind of seeing there before the Keon Coleman injury? I mean, Hollins has been really good, but I think the dynamic playmaking of Coleman is something that you want to get involved in this game. We haven't seen a lot yet of Coleman, Cooper, Samuel, and Shakir all healthy, all operating at the same time. Samuel, although he had a foot designation this week, he has no designation going into this game. So you potentially could have all four of those wide receivers, potentially Dalton Kincaid as well. What kind of changes there if all those guys are available?
Yeah, I think it's Mac Hollins in terms of the snap count goes down a little bit. Obviously, Curtis Samuel saw a big spike in snaps with these injuries in the wide receiver room. He's dealing with his own thing right now. Obviously, not ruled out for this game. No one's been ruled out for this game, but that's another area where they could get some potential snaps for this offense. But yeah, once Keon comes back and they feel he's fully healthy, you're going to want to get him back to the snap share that he was having pre-injury. He was doing a great job blocking downfield, getting open. But he also brings something different in terms of his skill set along the sidelines, the physical play. He's shown a little bit of the run after the catch in the shorter intermediate areas. So he does bring a little bit something different than Mac Hollins, who probably is a little bit more polished and nuanced as an overall route runner. Obviously his years in the league factor into that too. But I would think that's how the target share would kind of be distributed and changed. But we can always come back to this, but I see we have a super chat here from Carl. Want to go ahead and ask that one.
Yeah, what is the status of Dwayne Smoot? Week 15, yes, he'll be eligible to return for the Lions game. He left, was injured in the Dolphins game, so he could come back. Again, that's going to be a slow play kind of thing. You want to make sure he's 100% as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they open his window if he's able to practice right away. I saw him walking into the game last week, so he's still around the team. He hasn't had to get away from the team to do any rehab or anything like that. So yeah, it's probably similar to Dwayne Carter. You get him back, you get him in the practice setting, might be a week or two, but I think we ended up seeing Smoot back on the active roster before the end of the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. He was such an important part of the rotation. Their number 3 DN, someone they want to have back for maybe the last game or two of the regular season, but definitely have come postseason time, whether it's wild card weekend or post-bye if they're able to claim that number 1 seed.
You're watching Shout at Buffalo Bills Football Podcast. We're previewing Bills versus Rams. It goes down this Sunday, and it's weird because it's a 1:00 game local time, but if you're watching on the East Coast, it'll be the 4:30 game. So getting used to that. I got to make sure I'm to the stadium by 8 a.m. for Buffalo Kickoff Live. That throws you off on the West Coast, Ryan. I'll tell you right now. Sometimes you got to be careful with, you got to wake up on time and everything like that. I want to get to our keys to the game. Our big, we already talked about a couple, but let's get one more in before we get, I'll start with you and then I'll come back to me.
Yeah, I've already kind of mentioned it. So I spoiled it. Being able to run the ball effectively. We have seen the Rams over the last few weeks, but all season long, struggle to stop the run. The Bills are a team that has been very adamant about establishing the run this year. This is not every few weeks they run the ball pretty well. This has been a team that has run the ball and are willing to run the ball often. So I think they're going to be very persistent running the ball against this Rams team. They're going to make it very difficult where if James Cook is going off, that opens up play action for Josh Allen. That opens up so many things for this passing attack too. But if they're able to run the ball successfully, much like a lot of teams have as of late against the Rams, this is going to bode well for the Bills.
It's a two-piece key to the game for me, and I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. Number one, you have to part of it is slowing down Kyren Williams, right? Which then will help you create third and longer. Because when it gets to third and longer, you know that Matt Stafford's going to go back there. If you can win up front and affect Stafford, hit Stafford, it changes the complexion of their offense completely. So you have to be effective on third down. You have to get them off the field on third down because they're going to try to drive the ball. And I looked up the red zone stats. I mean, they're bottom of the barrel. I mean, they're 55% scoring in the red zone. They play right into the Bills' hands. But I think if you could force a couple turnovers on the road, we saw them go to LA last year in December against the Chargers, and the Chargers defense give the Bills offense some problems. It's been clear skies. It has been smooth sailing for this Bills offense. So get out there, try to, get your own run game going, score some points. But if the offense is slowed down at all, I think that this could be a game where the defense can really set the tone with what they're able to do against this Rams offense.
Yeah, great points there. This defense being able to get a few turnovers in this game or get a few big stops, it would not surprise me at all. We've seen this unit be very good this season at flipping the field for Buffalo, giving them advantageous field position to start drives. So would not shock me whatsoever if that continued in this matchup.
We want you to become a Shout Insider, 716-528-6727. It's a 2-week free trial, $3.99 a month after that. And the Shout text line is brought to you by Carrie C. Byer, attorney with the law offices of Francis M. Litro, located at 237 Main Street, Buffalo, New York. If you or someone you know is seriously injured, give him a call, 716-852-1234, or check out litrolaw.com. Prediction time, Ryan. I'm going with the Bills. I mean, listen, they are on an absolute heater. And for them to stumble over the next couple of weeks with this game, with the Lions game, I think that potentially that could happen, definitely. But they're just playing such great football. They're getting so healthy on both sides of the ball that I think that there's so many different ways that they can win this game. I think they do it. I think they lean on James Cook again. I think Josh Allen has a really good game in his home state. And the Bills win what I think ends up being a little bit closer of a game than people expect. 21-17 Bills.
Oh, I have the Bills continuing their streak of 30-plus point outings against the Rams. I think that it can be a close game early on, but the Bills pull away late. They get some Matthew Stafford turnovers. Bills pull away, win big, 38-20.
Ooh, Talbot. 38 what did you say? 38-20 on the road?
On the road. Well, listen, is this going to be a road game?
Ooh, that's a great question. It's not. I got to be honest with you. I was listening to that. I went back and watched that Eagles game, and I'll tell you right now, Philadelphia took over SoFi Stadium.
So this is going to feel like a home game for the Bills.
Exactly. That's a great point. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Catch us after the game. We'll be breaking down everything that happens. I'll be at SoFi. Ryan will be doing his LeBron hating thing in Ole in New York. We'll see you then, everybody. Take care.